So according to sources, the wife of Matthew A. Livelsberger, the Special Forces soldier who took care of himself, we're trying to be kind about that, on Tuesday inside the Tesla Cybertruck outside of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, had left him. His wife had left him. They just recently had a child. And, additionally, he had been seen by military behavioral health several times in 2024. But that's not all. That's not even the most interesting part. Now, I encourage anybody that wants to is to go to the Sean Ryan podcast, YouTube channel, all that stuff, and watch the entire video. I watched about 45 minutes of it leading up to this show just to kind of get an idea. And there's a lot of stuff that's being just dropped over there that I can't even comprehend, and I would be doing you a disservice trying to parse it out. So please go on over to no, I'm not subscribing to your thing. Thank you though. And check that out for yourself. It's worth it. I think it's not too bad of a time to see what they're up to. But this is a summation of this. An leaked email appearing to be from Master Sergeant Matthew A. Livelsberger, the Special Forces soldier who unfortunately, supposedly did things on Tuesday inside the Tesla Cybertruck outside the Trump Hotel. He appears to go on a conspiracy theory fueled rant about Chinese drones and submarines. In the email, Livelsberger claims that he is being tracked by the government, that he is attempting to head to a decision point and or the Mexico border, while stating that they won't let him cross because he is armed with what they call a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, or VBID. Which apparently, if you watch the Sean Ryan show, the FBI doesn't know what that is, so that makes you feel a little bit better. It is absolutely shocking. Apparently, this email was sent to this intelligence officer podcast guy, and I'm not trying to say that in a mean way. I'm just saying that this gentleman who runs a podcast, he's former military intelligence. They sent this email January 29th or 30th, and they sent an email to Sean Ryan around that same time. He was trying to get in contact with various members of military outfits to try and get his message that he eventually got with this email out. So there's that side. You have this side where he's talking about things that he did in the military and the Chinese drones in New Jersey and their capabilities and a lot of stuff that just, I'm not that tall anyway, but he's just straight over my head. I didn't know what this guy is talking about. No idea. That's why I encourage everybody to watch it and make your own decisions on that. And then you have what we like to call the official narrative that is being pushed out by the Las Vegas Police Department.
So there's a lot of content for us to review and examine. We're just showing examples and samples as we get them. There's more information as we go through it. But in this video, you can see even the distinctive jacket that he is wearing in that vehicle. The other thing that's important is the sheriff mentioned yesterday that Tesla sent to us engineers to come to Las Vegas to help us extract data from the vehicle. Thanks to their support, we were able to extract an SDMI chip from the Tesla vehicle, and Tesla was able to confirm to us using the data from the vehicle that the vehicle was not in full self-driving mode at any time during this incident. Finally, the last category, just
Hold up. Where am I? There I am. Take it with a grain of salt. Take all of this with a grain of salt, what I'm saying. But do you think that if it was that they would tell you that? Do you think Elon Musk wants them to know that that's happening? Do you think Elon Musk is going to say, yeah, tell them it was in full self-driving mode? And another thing, which just needs to be brought up, is, listen, there's a lot of information that Tesla's taking from you. I know my man G-Money here is saying this is completely correct. The data. Now, of course, people who drive Teslas, this is not a new thing. It's not like this, oh my gosh, the Tesla's taking all this information. You know, it's just part of the deal, right? It's not something, it's like, we're not breaking any news here with this. But all that spying on Tesla can do to your vehicle. But it's also, with a grain of salt, take this official narrative that, oh, well, it wasn't fully self-driving at any time. Trust us on that. Look, the guy was wearing a jacket at this point. And so there's things that we could clearly see the jacket in that first one. Couldn't clearly see the jacket at Trump Tower. Right? I know Steph, if Steph's watching, how you doing? Hope you're having a good night. She asked me if I was a conspiracy theorist. I think I'm just a guy asking questions. And I don't subscribe to any one theory, but I believe enough different theories to kind of sound maybe not so crazy.
To touch on is motive, which I know everyone is very eager to try to understand and be able to explain what happened. I'll reiterate what the sheriff said is we still have a large volume of data to go through and a lot of content to go through. As you know, with any one of our devices, there's thousands, if not millions, of videos and photos and documents and web history and all of those things that need to be analyzed. But with that, just as a preview for as we get information, we're trying to be as transparent as possible. There were a couple pieces of content we thought were important to share for now. One is in the note application. He seemed to have two letters. One letter in particular, as you can see here, this is an excerpt from that letter. He says, fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and feckless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. He goes on to explain a variety of other grievances and issues, some political, some personal, a variety of other things, which we will do our best to release very quickly here. But then there's a second letter where there's some more excerpts. This one seems to be dated after the fact in that notes application. And in there, you can read a couple of the excerpts. We are the United States of America, the best country, people to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I need to cleanse my mind of the brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of the lives I took. I'd like to just also expand on that and understand that these are just excerpts in there. He does offer additional information that is varying on the spectrum in terms of political grievances, issues about the conflicts elsewhere, not here, domestic issues, societal issues, a variety of other things, including personal challenges as well. We are intending to release those initial letters so people can understand the best they can what the person's thought process was at one point in time. However, please understand there is still a lot more content to go through, and that may change. There may be a lot more
that he used there. Once again, this is just a question. Content. Wouldn't you call that evidence? The idea that that's evidence. He's using the word content. Content's a word that we are all very aware of. This is content that you are watching right now. You could put a lot of stock in that. You don't put any stock in it. I just find it very interesting that he used that word, the word content, in that context. So you have that narrative. It was a mission from a guy who kind of like The Rock. If you saw the movie The Rock in 1995, he did it because of the fellow soldiers that were, lost, and he needed to bring attention to it. That's one end. And then you got the Sean Ryan show, and they have a totally different perspective. And they're coming from, you have the law enforcement perspective, then you have the vet perspective. Very interesting. So the last thing I want to talk about in regards to the situation is something that was actually brought up on the Sean Ryan show. I know somebody on Instagram was asking about that. I was like, yeah, we were just talking about that. We're going to reference it again. Tim Kennedy, who, if you've watched this channel, know I am not a big fan of, just personally, because he's gun control and all these other kinds of things. He was on one of his platforms yesterday saying, hey, man, does anybody know? Anybody ever heard of this guy? Because he was in the military and blah, 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 blah. Now, of course, the internet is forever. And somebody said to Tim Kennedy, you should know him because you were on a show with him.
It's teams of elite soldiers from around the world against each other.
Matt and Tim.
Yep. That's Matt, the supposed bomber. And that's Tim Kennedy. Tim Kennedy, who the other day said, hey, does anybody know who this guy, this Matt Livelsberger guy is? Well, Tim, maybe you should.
From the U.S. Army Special Forces, better known as the Green Berets.
Matthew Livelsberger and his partner Tim Kelly, both Green
Kennedy, thank you, Inside Edition.
Berets, appeared on the Ultimate Soldier Challenge 12 years ago on the History Channel. They not only won, it wasn't even close.
Yeah,
America.
Woo!
You know, for television, they always try to make it a little bit more competitive, but we swept the whole entire show.
When he appeared on the show, Livelsberger used a shortened version of his name, Matt Bird. So it took Tim Kelly a while to put 2 and 2 together.
And then I saw a Matt Berg with a older photo of him, and I was like, oh no, dude, I know that guy. And then it just like tore my heart out because he was a really great Green Beret.
And what was he like?
He was charming. He was talented. He was personable. He was kind. He was all the things that you would expect from a Green Beret.
At one point during the show, Livelsberger lost his cool in the 90-plus degree heat.
I'm about to throw up, man. I got heat exhaustion, man. I need to take this off right now.
Tim Kelly says he hadn't heard
Kennedy, Tim Kennedy. And I'm a guy that gets people's names wrong all the time, and I can see why y'all get frustrated.
from Livelsberger for a few years.
It just categorically does not make sense. From everything that I have heard, he was
YouTube, I'm not
universally
playing that. That's inside of it.
valued by his team, by his peers. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense, and it is just horrifically heartbreaking.
Great job, Inside Medition. Can't even get the guy's name right. So Tim Kennedy, I almost called him Tim Kelly. Tim Kennedy knows him. Weird, little weird. This guy was well known, and like I said, it is not my job to break down the letter. If you want to, Sean Ryan, he does a full hour. It's very riveting. I've actually never watched Sean Kelly's show. Or Sean Ryan's show, and now I'm saying Kelly with everything. I've never watched Sean Ryan's show. Very interesting. It's a good show. Very informative. I refer you to him. Check it out.